Many travelers don't actually struggle with packing, they struggle with making decisions. There's an overwhelming amount of travel gear out there, surrounded by buzz and excitement, but a lot of it ends up unused. I'm Johannes from Gear Up Your Life, and after a full year of purchasing, testing, and genuinely traveling with a wide range of gadgets, I wanted to share the 50+ items that truly earned a permanent spot in my bag. No rankings, no unnecessary fluff. Just the equipment I'd honestly recommend if someone asked me for advice today, and since this video is already quite lengthy, let's jump right in. The first item is one I hesitated to buy for a long time, mostly because it costs significantly more than typical neck pillows. The TRTL neck pillow is something I only picked up midway through the year, and despite its nearly $60 price tag, I found it to be completely worth it. What sets it apart is that it functions more like a supportive neck brace than a standard pillow, keeping your head steady and well positioned, which is a game changer during long flights. Looking back, I wish I'd gotten it sooner, as I slept far less on planes this year compared to previous ones, and this little piece of gear would have made a big difference earlier on. Next, let's talk about something that ensures all your devices stay powered when you're away. Our second must-have is the Anker MagGo power bank, which I grew to truly appreciate during my month-long trip to Spain, as being constantly on the go and having a power bank that simply clicks onto your phone and delivers power without the mess of cables made traveling so much easier. A solid alternative, especially during colder months or on road trips, is the UGREEN Nexode. A product I stumbled upon just a few months ago that delivers higher capacity, multiple ports, and performs like a powerhouse when you're not focused on packing light, followed by the Osprey Ultralight Daypack. This is one of those pieces of gear that simply does what it's supposed to do. It weighs almost nothing, packs down super small, and gives you a proper backpack whenever you need it for day trips, hikes, or city walks, and I actually bought this at the very end of 2024, but since it's been with me throughout this year on countless trips, it definitely earns its spot on this list. Next up are the Loop Quiet Earplugs, which is one of those small items that doesn't look exciting but can completely change how you experience flights, buses, or noisy accommodations by reducing noise without fully blocking everything out, making them perfect for sleeping on planes or just tuning out background chaos. I started carrying these regularly this year, and once I've slept better on a long-haul flight, I don't really want to travel without them anymore. Our fifth gadget on the list is one of my all-time favorite pieces of gear, the Peak Design Tech Pouch, which simply keeps all my cables, chargers, and small tech in one place without everything ending up in a mess after a few days on the road, and the layout inside is so well thought out that you always know where things are even when you're moving fast. I've been using this pouch across different trips and setups, and it's one of those items you don't really think about anymore, which is exactly why it works so well. Next up is the AirFly adapter, because if you've ever been stuck on a long flight with decent headphones but no way to connect them to the plane system, this fixes that instantly. You just plug it in, connect your headphones, and you're good to go with no cables hanging everywhere and no compromises. I've been carrying this on basically every flight this year, and it's simply a small thing that quietly makes flying a lot more enjoyable. Next up are my merino layers from Merino.tech, and to be honest, I've always been more of an unbound merino guy. But at some point, the price just started to feel a bit too much, so I gave Merino.tech a try, mostly out of curiosity, and I was genuinely surprised by the quality right from the first delivery. I've been using their socks, long sleeves, and t-shirts throughout the year, and so far everything has held up really well, especially for the price. Next up is the Addalock portable door lock, which is one of those small safety items that you hopefully never really need, but it's good to have when you do. The idea is simple. It adds an extra layer of security to hotel or apartment doors, especially when you're traveling solo or staying somewhere unfamiliar, and I'll be honest, I've heard from one viewer that it didn't work for them, but personally, I haven't had a situation yet where I actually needed to test it properly, though from trying it myself on different doors, it does feel like it works exactly as intended, and considering it's only around $10, it's a low-risk item that can give you a bit more peace of mind. Next up is the ESR 3-in-1 charger, which ESR actually sent to me around the middle of the year, and since then it's been with me on pretty much every single trip. It charges my phone, earbuds, and watch in one compact setup, which means fewer cables and less clutter in my bag, and I like that it folds down small, works reliably, and doesn't feel fragile even after constant travel, so for around $50, it's been absolutely solid for me so far. Our 10th gadget is the second tech pouch, but only because these two are completely different and this one really deserves its place here. The Evergoods tech pouch feels more rugged and structured, and it's the one I reach for when I want everything protected and locked in place, as it doesn't open up as much as the Peak design pouch, but that's exactly why it works better for heavier tech or tighter setups. I switch between the two depending on the trip, and this is actually the only product in this entire list that appears twice for a reason. Next up is the Nitecore TINI 2 Keychain flashlight, and to be honest, up until this fall, maybe even early winter, I always thought keychain flashlights were kind of unnecessary, but once I actually started carrying one, I realized how often I end up using it in small unexpected moments, whether it's dark stairwells, morning hikes, or finding things in your bag at night. It's just there when you need it, and it's tiny, rechargeable, surprisingly bright, and completely changed my opinion on this type of gear. Next up are the Western Rise travel pants, which are definitely designed for everyday wear, but I personally love them for hikes and exploring new places because they're comfortable, stretchy, dry quickly, and still look good enough to wear in cities without feeling like outdoor gear. I'll be honest though, they are pretty expensive, which is why I wouldn't immediately go out and buy a second pair, but if you're looking for one solid pair of pants that can do a lot, these have been a great option for me so far. Next up is the USB data blocker from Buisamg, which is one of those small items that you don't think about at first, but once you understand the risk, it makes a lot of sense to carry one. When you're charging in airports, cafes, or public spaces, you never really know what those USB ports are connected to, and a data blocker simply allows power to pass through while blocking any data connection, which adds an extra layer of security when you're on the road. It's tiny, weighs nothing, and it's a gadget that's better to have and never need than the other way around. Our next gadget is more like an essential. The Summit Toiletry Bag, which I really like because it's lightweight, well-structured, and actually designed for travel, not just for looking good. It opens wide. You can see everything at a glance, and the hanging hook makes a big difference in small bathrooms or hostels. It dries quickly, holds up well over time, and it's one of those simple pieces of gear that just works wherever you are. Our gadget number 15 is the tile tracker, and it's on this list not because luggage trackers are something new to me, but because the tile tracker has actually become my absolute favorite this year. Compared to the Apple AirTag, I personally find it much more practical, as it works across different devices, doesn't lock you into one ecosystem, and does exactly what you expect it to do without any friction. It's reliable, easy to set up, and for most trips, it gives me all the tracking I really need, and considering it usually costs around $15, it's honestly one of the best value travel upgrades on this list. Next up is the Outdoor Research Packable Rain Jacket, and honestly, if I had already been doing YouTube last year, this jacket would have shown up back then as well. I bought it in 2024 for Thailand, and it's been one of those pieces I keep coming back to again and again because it packs down small, keeps you dry when it matters, and doesn't feel like wearing a plastic bag when it's warm. I love how easy it is to just throw it in your bag and forget about it until the weather suddenly changes. Our next gadget is an absolute community favorite, the Anker 3-in-1 charging cable, and it's one of the most purchased items in this community for a reason, because it's extremely simple and removes so many small travel pain points, as cheap charging cables usually break, stop working, or just disappear, and then you suddenly need 3 different cables to charge everything, but this one does it all in a single cable, costs around $15, and just quietly helps every single day while traveling. Next up is the MZ Sleep Mask, and yeah, I'll admit it. I also bought the Mantis Sleep Mask, which is great, no question, but honestly, I keep coming back to this one, and if I had to choose again, I'd much rather pay 3 times less and still go with the MZ, as it blocks light really well, doesn't press on your eyes, and stays comfortable even on long flights or in unfamiliar places. It's simple, it works, and it's one of those things where spending more just didn't make a real difference for me. Next up is the DIN tag luggage tag, and funny enough, I haven't actually featured this once on the channel all year, which is definitely going to change in January, but it's very simple. It replaces the classic paper luggage tag with a digital profile that people can scan if your bag gets lost, and I mostly use it on my carry-on, not so much when I'm traveling with a backpack, but for suitcases, it just makes a lot of sense because it's low effort, low profile, and one of those things you set up once and then forget about in a good way. Our 20th pick is a shoe pouch, and this is actually a pretty new thing for me this year because I never really used one before, which honestly was a big mistake, especially for running shoes or in winter when you carry a second pair, because this just keeps the rest of your bag clean and organized. I'm using two different versions here, the Mossio shoe pouch, which is the best value for the price, and the Peak Design shoe pouch if you want something a bit more premium. Different price points, same idea, and once you start using a shoe pouch, you won't really go back. Next up is the AeroPress, and as most of you know, up until the middle of this year, I was traveling every single year with a French press. Switching to the AeroPress honestly made a real difference because it's faster, easier to clean, packs smaller, and still gives you really good coffee on the road. I didn't think this would feel like a big upgrade at first, but after using it consistently, I wouldn't want to go back, and for around $32, it's one of those small lifestyle upgrades that actually sticks. Our next gadget is something everyone has probably heard of, the EKA Universal Travel Adapter, and because of that, I honestly never even felt the urge to test other ones. In general, it's just one of those products that gets it right, as it works in basically every country, has enough ports for all your devices, and just does exactly what you expect it to do. I know everyone says this, but in this case, it's actually true. It's probably the best universal adapter you can get right now. Next up are the compression socks from Physics Gear, and at their regular price of around $22, I'll be honest, I probably wouldn't buy them, but most of the time they're discounted to under $15, and at that price point, they're actually very fair, they're comfortable, help with long flights, and make a noticeable difference on travel days where you're sitting or standing for hours. Nothing fancy but a simple piece of gear that does what it's supposed to do. Next up is the Matador Flat Pack Soap Bar Case, and this was actually one of the newest gadgets I discovered this year. At first, I was a bit skeptical about it. I wasn't sure if it would really make a difference or if it was just another overhyped travel product, but after using it for a while, I honestly have to say it's definitely worth the hype. It dries quickly, keeps your bag clean, and makes traveling with solid soap way more practical than I expected. At our number 25, we have the Nano Bag, and not the Peak Design one but the classic Nano Bag, which is probably my favorite travel upgrade for around $15 and honestly one of my absolute favorites on this entire list for the price. It packs down insanely small, holds way more than you'd expect, and I end up using it all the time, not just while traveling. I use this thing privately at home at least as often as on trips, which says a lot about how practical it actually is. Next, we're staying in the affordable but extremely useful category with the free 2 digital luggage scale, which is one of those small tools that can save you a lot of stress at the airport, especially when you're flying with strict weight limits. You just hook it onto your bag, lift it up, and you know exactly where you stand before you even leave the house. It's simple, accurate, and easy to carry, and this is one of those items that quickly pays for itself after just one trip. Next up is a dry hat, the Getaway Pack Light Hat 2.0, which I originally saw on Pack Hacker and it immediately made sense as a travel piece. It's lightweight, packable, and perfect for hot weather, especially when you want something that doesn't take up space in your bag. I'll be honest, for everyday use in fall, I probably wouldn't wear it, but for beach trips, summer travel, or even being out in the desert like I was in Egypt, it's been absolutely great. Next up are the Gravel silicone bottles. They're definitely a bit more expensive than most travel bottles, but they do exactly what they're supposed to do and they do it well. They don't leak, they're easy to fill, and they just feel more solid than the cheap alternatives. The only thing I'd honestly wish for is a slightly bigger option, especially for shampoo, and apart from that, they've been great for travel. A bit pricey, yes, but still a solid choice. But our next gadget is everything expensive. The Alataya Power Strip for only $15, which I love for Airbnb stays, especially when you're dealing with awkward outlet placements or too few sockets. It gives you multiple plugs and USB ports in one compact setup, and honestly, it's just as useful at home as it is while traveling. Simple, affordable, and surprisingly handy. This is one of those items you'll end up using way more than you expect. Our 30th gadget on the list is something that's probably a bit more niche. The GearAid Field Repair Buckle. It's one of those items you hope you'll never need, but if a buckle breaks on your backpack, this can literally save a trip. You don't need tools, it's easy to install, and it works as a quick, reliable fix when something fails on the road. Small, lightweight, and easy to forget about, but incredibly useful in the one moment it actually matters. Next up is the 4Monster Microfiber Travel Towel, and this is one of those items that's been with me right from the beginning of the year. Dries quickly, packs down small, and is perfect for beaches, hostels, or spontaneous swims. It's not something you think about every day, but whenever you need it, you're really glad you have it with you. Simple, lightweight, and reliable, this towel has earned its spot in my bag over and over again. Next up is the Nashinko Hand Sanitizer, which is one of those small items I carry with me almost all the time, especially when traveling. It's not just about hygiene, but also about how easy it is to use on the go, as it dries quickly, doesn't leave your hands sticky, and the slim design makes it easy to keep in a pocket or sling. Simple, practical, and something you end up using more often than you expect. Next up is the Zadi On The Go 7-in-1 USB-C hub, and this is something I actually haven't shown in any video yet because I'm saving it for January. And yeah, this thing is definitely expensive, there's no way around that. But if you're looking for a USB-C hub that's solid in design, great in build quality, and just feels premium in everyday use, this one really stands out. It's compact, well thought out, and one of those pieces of tech where you immediately notice what you're paying for. Next up are the laundry bags from Wiseboy, and I'll be honest, I don't think this is something that makes sense for everyone while traveling, but if you're on longer trips, moving between places often, or just like keeping clean and dirty clothes clearly separated, this can be really useful. It helps keep your bag organized, avoid mixing worn clothes with fresh ones, and just adds a bit of structure to your packing routine. Not essential for short trips, but for long-term travel, it can make things a lot easier. Next up are the Soap No Rinse detergent sheets. I actually featured these back in February in one of my very first travel videos, and they're perfect for quick washes on the road, especially when you don't have access to a washing machine or just want to clean a few items overnight. They're lightweight, take up almost no space, and make hand washing clothes way easier than you'd expect. Simple, practical, and a great option for longer trips or minimalist setups. Next up is the Belcon AirTag holder, which is a very simple accessory but does its job really well. It costs around $10, feels solid, and keeps the AirTag properly protected, and I mostly use it for my tote bag or for my keys, but for everything else, I'll be honest, I usually just throw the AirTag straight into the bag. Nothing fancy here, just a clean, reliable way to attach a tracker when you actually need it. Next up are the foldable travel slippers from Buckton. And this is actually one of those items I really wish I had earlier, especially back when I was in Granada. Even though it was around 40 degrees Celsius during the day and summer, nights, and especially mornings were surprisingly cold, and standing on a stone balcony barefoot was not fun at all. These pack down small, feel comfortable, and are perfect for accommodations where you don't want to wear shoes. Not essential, but once you need them, you're very happy you packed them. Next up is the Hideaway Collapsible Water Bottle, which is one of those items that's really easy to underestimate until you actually travel with it. When it's empty, it folds down almost completely flat, which makes it super easy to carry in a day pack or sling, but once you need it, you still get a proper sturdy bottle that doesn't feel flimsy or annoying to use. It's especially handy for flights, city days, or hot destinations where staying hydrated matters but space is limited. Our 40th gadget are the silicone pouches from Stasher, which is one of those simple upgrades that ends up being way more useful than you initially expect. I use them for snacks, small items, liquids, or anything I don't want floating around loosely in my bag. They're reusable, easy to clean, and just feel more solid than cheap zip bags. Not a flashy item at all, but incredibly practical once you start traveling with them. Quick side note before we continue, if 50 gadgets aren't enough, I've put together over 75 tested travel gadgets plus 8 detailed packing lists for things like carry-on only travel, hiking trips, or city trips. You also get 25 printable travel tip cards, and more than 1,500 travelers are already in there. You can join the newsletter and get everything completely for free through the first link in the description. Alright, let's keep going. Next up are the compression bags from Cozy Essentials, which is one of those items that makes the biggest difference when you're trying to pack less but still bring everything you need. They're perfect for winter traveling. You don't need a vacuum or anything fancy, you just roll the air out and suddenly you have way more space in your bag. I mainly use them for clothes on longer trips or when I'm traveling carry-on only, and space really matters. Simple, lightweight, and one of the easiest ways to upgrade your packing setup. Next up is the Evervessel Mini, which I mainly use for coffee or tea when I'm out exploring, but I also take it with me to the gym quite often. It's small enough to fit into almost any bag, keeps drinks hot longer than you'd expect, and doesn't leak, which is honestly the main reason I keep using it, whether it's travel days, city walks, or just a quick workout. It's a simple little thing that fits easily into my routine. Next up is anti-sand powder, which I bought during summer in Spain for my Morocco trip, and honestly, I had the exact same reaction most people have right now. I thought this was completely unnecessary, but it actually does what it promises. You put a bit of the powder on your skin, rub it in, and the sand just falls right off instead of sticking. And if you struggle with sand, sweat, or just hate that sticky feeling, or if you're traveling with kids, this can be a real game changer. I've linked my personal favorite down below because after trying it, I actually get the hype now. Next up is the Osprey rain cover, which is a simple gadget that doesn't get much attention but can save your gear when the weather turns bad. It's lightweight, packs down small, and fits easily over your backpack when it starts raining unexpectedly. I like having it with me on hikes, day trips, or anytime I'm carrying camera gear or electronics. Simple, reliable, and a lot easier than dealing with wet clothes and a soaked bag. Next up are the Velcro cable ties. I'm using the ones from Velcro, and they cost around $10 for a pack of 150. They're super simple but incredibly useful for travel, as I use them to organize cables, secure loose gear, or fix small things on the go. They weigh nothing, take up almost no space, and somehow end up solving problems more often than you'd expect. Not exciting at all, but definitely something I always keep in my bag. Next up is the Q-on collapsible Tupperware, which becomes really useful when you're traveling longer or staying in apartments. Like me here in Greece, I use it for leftovers, grocery runs, or taking food with me on day trips without carrying bulky containers, and when you're done, it folds down flat, which makes it easy to store in your bag or kitchen drawer. Simple, practical, and especially helpful if you like cooking or saving money while traveling. Next up is the lacrosse ball from KA. Since I go jogging quite often, I sometimes get light pain in my thighs, and when you then add 15,000 steps through a city on top of that, this really helps to loosen things up again. I mainly use it for quick recovery, rolling out my legs or feet after long days of walking or flights. It's small, easy to carry, and a simple tool that actually makes a difference for me while traveling. Next up is the Ultralight travel wallet, which is a wallet I really like for travel because it keeps everything slim and organized. It holds cards, cash, and receipts without turning into a bulky mess in your pocket, especially when you're moving through cities a lot, sitting down, standing up, pulling things out all the time. A slim wallet just makes life easier. Simple design, lightweight, and a solid choice if you want to carry less without missing anything. Next up are the foam and soap sheets, and I honestly just love these. For under $10, they're absolutely great. I use them privately at home just as much as while traveling, but they're especially useful for me in airports. You just take one sheet, add a bit of water, and you have soap, no liquids, no mess, no stress, and they've also been one of the most bought items in the community this year, which honestly doesn't surprise me at all. Last but not least, something that's on this list for a reason, not because it's a classic travel gadget, but more of an everyday carry item. The Orbit Key Ring V2 keeps your keys organized, silent, and way less annoying in everyday life, and it's one of those small upgrades you don't really notice at first, but once you start using it, you don't want to go back. Not a travel essential in the strict sense, but definitely something that makes life on the move and at home a bit easier. So, if you want to see even more real travel essentials, you can watch the video on the left, and if you haven't subscribed yet, you can do that right here on the right. And yeah, this is either the last video for some of you this year or the very first one in the new year, so thank you for an amazing year. I really appreciate you being here, and I wish you a great start into the new year.